Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this show. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. I am so very happy to be here. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs.
Hello, I am Jesse David Fox. I'm a senior writer at Vulture. I'm executive producer of Vulture Festival. Host of one podcast. Yeah. But to begin, I want to.
What was that?
I was going to give more credits, but they already stopped listening to my credits. But to start, I want to present you with this, which is an honorary degree, Masters in Culture from Vulture.com. It's not just a name. It's a real.
Seen here in happier days. Very good. Thank you very much.
What does the honor mean to you, or more broadly, what does culture mean to you? What does it mean to be a part of this thing that was very meaningful for you?
What does culture mean to me? Might be the most open-ended question I've ever been asked in my life.
I only got that one question, so
this is a huge honor. I grew up in government subsidized housing in Toronto. My parents were immigrants from England. England won the war and lost the peace, and their greatest export was talented young people, and so they moved to Canada. And my dad loved the United States, and he loved both of them met in amateur dramatics, acting. And my dad revered comedians. My son's name is Spike, based on Spike Milligan, and my dad's name was Spike as well. So, it's culture is everything. Culture is, I never thought I'd get to be in culture. With us tonight is Jay Roach, the director of Austin Powers. He's a brother from another mother and a fantastic filmmaker, and somebody when I moved to Los Angeles actually went to movies, and which was great. But he and I came up in different houses. You in somewhere in Gosley, America. Where was it? Albuquerque. Where? Albuquerque, right? And we both found each other. And so when you say culture, it's an interesting thing because Jay is one of the most cultured people I've ever met. And I didn't realize how much meeting cultured people meant to me. And it doesn't require any money. You don't have to have money to have culture. And my production company is called No Money Fun Films because I don't think the access to money or capital keeps you from culture. And culture is, for me, when a comedy was on in our house smelled nicer. It was a universal truce. And it makes you think of things, it binds you to the rest of the people. Freud said that laughter is an ensemble process. I love the Toronto Maple Leafs. I love the Liverpool Football Club. And I love going first weekend to see comedies. That sense of being in the crowd to me, and that agreement. And culture is an orgy of agreement. And there's few chances for us to have mass agreement like culture. So and I'm trying to, and have successfully instilled it in my children who also love culture. And if they say something mean and it's funny, it's fine, basically.
So I wanted to use Wayne as a way of talking about your early years into finding yourself on both Canadian and American television. So who were you when you came up with the earliest versions of Wayne? What was the light bulb moment?
I was a punk rocker. I was a punk rocker in Toronto, which is, they always say, punks rule, okay. In Canada, it's punks rule, okay, mom. It's will bite you, will probably gum you more than bite you, really, as a punk rocker. But all around me were people who were into heavy metal. And it struck me that it was such a universal, well, at least to North American, suburban heavy metal thing. And that going back to culture and having no money fun, I wanted the movie to look like $10 trying to be $10 million. You know what I mean? And one of the things of growing up in Canada in show business is there's no money in it, which is kind of great because in a weird way it makes you experiment more. And don't take this wrong, Canada, if you're out there, but everything you do in Canada doesn't go against your career. You know what I mean? It's it's a place to get your 10,000 hours. You know what I mean? And for me, I like the spirit of friends. I like my friends, and I'd seen A Hard Day's Night, and I cried at the end of it because I wanted to hang out with the Beatles that much. Believe it or not, the Burt Reynolds movies, I thought, when I get older, I'm going to have friends and we're going to laugh at stuff. And I like the movie to feel like it's a party that you've been invited to, you know what I mean? And that the molecules on the screen, there's more molecules. It's as if the air is thicker. You can feel the air,
Yeah. So you mentioned the sort of...
do I sound like I'm on drugs or something? Does that make sense?
Makes sense. So you talked about the 10,000 hours of being able to make comedy and work for Canadian television. We have one example of this, of you playing Wayne. I believe this is from 40 years ago on the Canadian show City Limits. Play clip 1.
Really, it's really good to have you here, and I want to wish you a lot of luck with the band, too.
Are you telling me to get lost?
Oh, no.
I'm staying.
Oh, no, I would...
Listen, there's this excellent party I was supposed to crash, and I said I wasn't going to come, man.
Oh, you came here instead of going to a party?
Well, yeah.
Wayne, I'm amazed. I mean,
well,
you are a party animal.
I'm a maniac. I'm in the almanac.
The almanac?
Yeah, Partier's Almanac. I'm in there.
I didn't know about that.
That's right, a whole section devoted to Wayne. Wayne Campbell, hi.
That was a good friend of mine, Christopher Ward, who's in the band of Ming T with Susanna Hoffs, who's Jay's wife. And that was improvised at 3:30 in the morning on Canadian TV.
What do you see there? Like, that's obviously such a... I mean, at that point, you'd already been doing Wayne for a few years at this point. But, like, what do you see there? What did that person know about what the character was that stayed true? And what was there still to find out about the character?
One of the biggest... one of my heroes is... I have a few heroes, but Peter Sellers is my definite hero, which is he committed to... He saw no difference between dramatic acting and comedic acting. He thought that true comedy acting is 99.99 dramatic acting with 0.001 commentary, which is to say you make it slightly heightened. And one of the things about the great Phil Hartman was he had it's like gold, where it has to have a little bit of impurity in it. His was minute, you know what I mean? And it was a total commitment. Alec Guinness is another one. So many great. Danny Aykroyd, another huge influence. It's none of this is science, okay? So we're in the theoretical, but. Comedy acting has chord changes between moods faster than would exist in life, okay? So if you're doing a dramatic play, you have to build up to the change. In comedy, it can be, now get the fuck out, right? That change is in the 0.001 of impurity, where it is not verisimilitude, but there is exaggeration, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's my favorite kind of... Christopher Guest, another one. Oh, God, what a great instrument.
So I guess my question is, you had this character at a pretty young age. You were a teenager. You were you had already started performing at a young age, and before American television you got to see it, you had done it at Second City. You'd done Second City. You went to England for a time. I imagine you worked on a little bit there. You came back, did Second City. I was just wondering how the character evolved in those first, let's say, 10 years before you even did it on SNL.
I wanted the character to have knowledge that you wouldn't expect he might have. So, which, in order to get along in Scarborough, Ontario, and still get good marks, I had to go, yeah, that guy's crazy, eh? But at the same time, I did a contrast and compare essay on The Spy Who Loved Me and Joseph Campbell's cosmogenic monomyth cycle. You know what I mean? So I still got great marks, but I didn't want to hang out with the eggheads. I wanted to hang out with the party animals.
Yeah.
And so, I tried to infuse this idea that he has much more knowledge than you find yourself adaptable to the possibility he could have.
Did he become more you? Like, was it a message of what part of yourself you could put into the character?
No, it's a time in my life. It actually didn't become more me. It became sentimental. It became, I love Canada. I have 3 passports. I'm truly an international man of mystery. I have a Canadian passport. I moved to England, got an English one, and then gratefully and thankfully became an American. So we were going to become American when my parents moved from Liverpool. They went to Buffalo, and it was closed. He didn't have a job. He was supposed to work at the Dunlop factory, and they were like, "We don't know who you are." And he goes, "All right, we'll try Canada." And so I'm, English by heritage, American by your grace, thank you, and Canadian by God's grace.
Wayne was part of the story of how you got SNL in the first place. Can you tell that story?
I didn't. So this is something that people don't believe, but it's absolutely true. I moved to England in, I think it was 83, wasn't it? Yes, 83. I moved to England in 83. Yes. And Saturday Night Live was on, but I never watched it because I had one of those top-loading VCRs, and it was on at exactly the same time as the Toronto Maple Leaf game, so I could only tape one thing. And, of course, I watched the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? And so I didn't watch it for those years before I went there because I was already on Second City. And then in England, nobody had heard of Saturday Night Live at all. Somewhere I went with a group of friends and I said, we were going to get cheeseburgers. And I said, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. And they're going, why did you say that 3 times? And I was like, And, Gilda Radner is the other one, I think, is, if I did not mention it, she's my hero. But anyways, so when I came back, I was in a cab with Dave Foley from The Kids in the Hall. And in those days in Toronto, we had really hilarious cab dispatchers that you could hear in the back seat. And this one guy'd go, okay, Steele's in Eglinton. And then he'd go, if somebody took it, he'd go, give that man a bologna sandwich, right? And then that was his whole thing, right? Eastern Taxi. Then he started saying something like, Lansdowne and DuPont. And then he'd go, isn't that special? And I turned to Dave Foley, I said, what the fuck is that? That's really funny. And he goes, that's Dana Carvey. And I said, who's Dana Carvey? He said, he's on Saturday Night Live right now. And I said, you should check it out. So I checked it out, and I was like, oh my God, that's really, really funny. But I had no idea. So when I got to Saturday Night Live and saw how fucking good these guys were, I was scared shitless. I had an anxiety attack. Phil Hartman, Dana Carvey, Nealon, Jan Hooks, who I also worship. It was unbelievable.
I think so. It was your 3rd or 4th episode you did, Wayne. I want to play just the beginning
I haven't even told you the story. So I did.
How you got SNL.
No, I got off on tangents. I'm sorry. So I by technicality, I was at a Second City reunion show, and all these famous people were on it. And now I'm an alumni, even though I'd just gone to Chicago. And I was on right before the break. No, right out of the break, right, where people are starting to get bored. And is Robin Williams going to show up? You know, one of those things. And I did my sketch, Wayne and Nancy, where I come from the audience. And I came from the audience, and it fucking killed, which was unbelievable because I had only been in the show for like 2 seconds. And it killed. I mean, it was cheers, stomps, and whistles. It was a jet taking off. And I don't know what happened, but the audience just went for it and loved it. And then I did an improv at the end with Del Close, who's one of the founding members of Second City. And right around the time Reagan had been shot but survived, and the joke was that he'd been shot with he needed to be shot with a silver bullet because he couldn't be killed by conventional weapons, right? And so it was a game called Freeze Tag, and it was the last one, and somebody was like that, and I said, freeze. And I was like, what am I doing? These are all movies that were, right? And I went, this time I didn't forget the silver bullet, Mr. Reagan. Lights out. This crazy thing. 2 weeks later, I'm in Chicago, and I get a call from Lorne Michaels. And he said, I understand you do a Wayne character. And
So let's play clip number 2, which is from the first Wayne's World, the beginning of the first Wayne's World.
Cable 10 is not responsible for the content or views expressed by the participants in this program.
Wayne's World! It's Wayne's World! Party time! It's Wayne's World! Excellent! Woo! Excellent! All right. Okay, like welcome to Wayne's World. All right, here's your excellent host, Wayne Campbell. Party! Party hardy! It's Friday, it's 10:30, man. It's time to party. Welcome to Wayne's World. I'm your excellent host, Wayne Campbell. With me, as always, is Garth.
So
Oh, very kind. Thank you.
I wanted to play just the beginning because, people come to SNL with characters,
Yes.
but then that character has to be in a sketch. And I think it's very interesting that right away you're like, okay, well, it's public access,
right,
and now he has a sidekick. How did you flesh it out to make it more than just like, well, I have this person, what is he going to do?
I was going to originally make it Scarborough. I turned to, it's been so long. One of the writers who was from Chicago, I described Scarborough to her, and she said, yeah, that's Aurora, Illinois. I said, Aurora it is. And I made it Aurora because there's an Aurora just outside of Toronto that's very much like Scarborough, so it all kind of made sense and whatever. And I didn't call... I'd always wanted to make Wayne's World a movie. I saw it as a world. And one of the things that when I was talking to Jay Roach, which is I think that comedy is production design. I think that comedy movies are worlds. They're immaculate universes that they bring you into. So I purposely called it Wayne's World because I love Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Oh my God, what a masterpiece. Yes. Jacques Tati, The Monkees, the series The Monkees. I love being immersed in a comedic world. And so I had actually written it out as a movie before I even got there. And then I was just trying to find a way to have the brilliant Dana Carvey be in my sketch. And that was about it.
The part of all your words is language, that your movies are filled with people speaking a language that exists only in those movies. And,
right.
And I want to talk to you about catchphrases because, they fall in and out in favor. Like SNL has many fewer recurring characters. I wanted, was your case for the why you like a catchphrase? What is the power of it? When you write them, is there something you're looking for?
No, I've never, it's not like, Jay, remember Get in Your Belly? That was an improv, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, ladies and gentlemen, my next catchphrase, click, get in your belly. Very good. I like when you have parents that are from Liverpool talk like this, like, oh, fucking great, You start to, the new one I love is chicken in a can of Coke, for how people from Liverpool, can can I get some chicken and a can of coke? Kook book, my dad used to say. The little animal in the back that gathers nuts, squirrel. So you get attuned to how people talk, you know.
Yeah.
And Canadian, I guess I have a Canadian accent.
I think they agree.
And I like how people talked, but I've never, Jay, we've never designed a catchphrase. It's, I just really like how people talk. It's just fascinating to me. And I think Canada is an interesting country because it is a little bit of a blank slate, you know what I mean? We're not a melting pot, we're a salad bowl, you know what I mean? And it's free to be you and me, and say what you will. Canada's very free to be you and me, which I love.
Yeah. So we talked about the world, talked about the movie. So you have the building of Wayne is continuing more and more the world, and I think I'm about to play a scene. It's a very famous scene from the movie where you literally do see not just.
Can I just say one thing about catchphrases? So Dana used to do this really fucking funny thing. He used to try just to torture Lauren. He'd go, Mike, I got another sketch for you. What? It's a catchphrase. Just go with it. And so he invented a catchphrase, which was, hey, Bill. Hey, Gun. What are you doing? Well, I got to go. Right? Just to fuck with Lauren. And Lauren would often, because he's so smart, Lauren, halfway he would go, right. And then he would pull it and we'd go on to the next thing. And the other one was two guys doing change, like at a bodega. Yeah. So how much is that? $1? Okay, here it is. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And then Lauren was like, fuck you. So they're not, I don't think you can't think them up in a lab. You know?
So the building out of Wayne's World, I'm going to play clip 3 from the movie Wayne's World.
I think we'll go with a little Bohemian Rhapsody, gentlemen.
Good call.
I see a little silhouette of a man.
Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening me.
Galileo.
I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family, sparing his life from this monstrosity.
Whoa, it's Phil.
Phil, what are you doing here? You're partied out, man. Again.
What if he honks in the car?
I'm giving you a no honk guarantee.
Phil, if you're gonna spew into this.
Easy come, easy go, will you let me go? Bismillah. No, we will not let you go. Let him go. Bismillah. We will not let you go. Let him go. Bismillah. We will not let you go. Let me go. We will not let you go. Let me go. We will not let you go. Let me go. Oh, mamma mia, mamma mia. Mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me. For me. For me. So you think you can stop me and spit my eye? So you think you can love me and leave me to die? Oh.
I didn't die recently, did I? Sorry.
So the original script, the first script of Wayne's World is online, and this scene was not in it. There's this moment, but you play a little about Led Zeppelin, and there's a guy who's going to puke, but this was added at some point through it. How did we need this idea to get in there? How did this sort of idea evolve? Yeah.
Well, it's one of the greatest rock songs ever. It has a strange operatic quality. It, I loved Queen. And in our car, we had a Dodge Dart, light blue Dodge Dart, that had a vomit stain that we chipped into the shape of Elvis on the side. It was this black mucoid thing. And everybody was assigned a Galileo. That was the big thing. And it was fights if you took my Galileo. You know what I mean? And it was going to be a long operetta, actually. Mm. So the thought that I always had was, when you see this show when you see the sketch on the show, it's the basement. We will literally take you up to the top. And then I thought this should be, in order to illustrate the world, and these other people are going to be in it, an operetta that sort of, and so my version of it was 3 times longer, and then it got chopped and chopped and chopped, where every bit of it was, is he going to go? Is he going to puke? Let him go. No, let him go. And he's going to puke. But it all got chopped down.
So the story...
They wanted Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
Okay,
so yes, and they wanted Guns N' Roses.
They wanted Guns N' Roses, which I'm a Guns N' Roses fan. I just didn't have anything funny for it.
Can you put us in that moment, or one of those meetings where someone goes, it should be Guns N' Roses, and what it felt in you to know it can't be Guns N' Roses?
I don't know. I think that having Liverpool parents, there's a built-in fuck you quality that I now see in my children, by the way. My youngest is just a wild beast, and it makes us laugh because I go, hey, you need to brush your teeth. No. I'm like, you don't have a choice in this, you know what I mean? She feels she does. I just had a knowing, you know what I mean? I never thought I would ever be discovered. I thought I was going to have to discover myself. I thought I'm never going to get hired. I'm going to have to hire myself. And I just thought, this is what I want to do. And if it doesn't work out, it is very odd, I have to say, to sit here at 61 with super crazy white hair, wearing a suit and all this stuff. So, it never was going to necessarily work out, to be honest, you know what I mean? But I did know what I wanted to do. And I did know that I was going to fight. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to be mean. It wasn't going to be ugly, but I was not going to be talked out of my vision because I thought I probably only get one turn at bat. I'm not going to necessarily get more turns at bat. Yeah. Why not go down swinging? You know what I mean? So that's really what I wanted to do. And there was a tremendous amount of pressure. And to Lorne Michaels' credit, he said, nope, the boy has a passion for it. Let's get it.
So we were playing this scene decades after it aired. And the movie was a huge hit. How did you process the sort of success of the first one and then the sort of relatively less success compared to the huge success of the first one of the second one?
I didn't want to do a second one. It's funny. I didn't think it necessitated a sequel. I always think that when you ask somebody to come back into their world, you are bringing them at a different time in their life to complete the story. Jay and I spent a tremendous amount of time with Austin Powers knowing why we wanted the audience to come back, and we wanted to honor them for having seen the first one, the first 2, and then the first 3. And not to be immodest, but you're here, Jay, and whatever, but the third did more than the second did more than the first, and I don't think it's ever been repeated because we spent a tremendous amount of time trying to make sure that we don't rip people off and that you understand why you're being brought back to this world. I didn't know why why Wayne's World needed to come back. I had an entirely different idea. My idea was that it was going to be Wayne gets his own country. And it's the first heavy metal state. So I thought if we take you from the basement, we see in the first movie upstairs, and then he comes across a piece of paper from the Revolutionary War that said that Aurora never signed on to be part of America. Wayne wants to put on a rock show. The local elders don't want to. And I go, too bad. We are the kingdom of Wayne Davia. It's the first heavy metal state. Now, I said to the people at the time, everyone, there is a movie called Passport to Pimlico I said, I'll write this, but you have to get the rights for it. They said, fine, go ahead and write it. And I said, it's Passport to Pimlico. I got a copy of it, everything, all this stuff. All said Passport to Pimlico. I said it in every meeting, blah, blah, blah. A new administration comes into Paramount, and they go, we never got the rights to it. And you're shooting in 10 weeks. And so I rewrote it in 10 weeks. And that's the story of Wayne's World 2. And I had a choice. Do I go, oh, fuck, do I go, no, I don't want to do it? Or do I salvage the jokes that would have worked in the other one and make it be about Wayne stock, which is what the climax of the movie was anyways. And but I wanted it to be like the ministry of being partied out, you know, the department of being hassled by your parents, a clinic where you've got a shitty song stuck in your head, you know, all that stuff. And super, super local.
So the second one comes out, you leave SNL, there's this sort of period. Can you talk about where you're at emotionally, creatively, and sort of how Austin Powers emerged? Austin Powers, the character, emerged before even Austin Powers, the movie, emerged.
Right around the time my dad had passed away, and I had lived in England, and I was just walking down the street, and I thought, whatever happened to swingers, you know? Whatever happened to, like, she's a sexy stew, or they're twins, you know, all that stuff that you're just like, now are like, really? And, you know, being from Sweden or anything like that, just that whole world. And I love James Bond. Like I said, my essay that got me into university was The Spy Who Loved Me and Joseph Campbell's Cosmogenic Monomyth Cycle. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to do a character like that. And I studied James Bond movies inside and out. I knew all the tropes, and I just loved it. And I really wanted to do a parody of spy spoofs more than James Bond. James Bond was kind of at a little bit of a nadir, a little trough. It wasn't so popular at the moment. And again, I just wanted to have Coca-Cola Reds and AT&T Blues, Kodak Yellows in this world. And then Dr. Evil's world would be gray and black and sharp.
When you had the idea of Dr. Evil, did you think of Lorne right away? And was it a sort of like back and forth of like, oh, if he's like Lorne, he's like this, and if Lorne was
no,
did you have that voice?
It was Donald Pleasance. It was Donald Pleasance forever, and I had actually done a show with Neil Mullarkey, who's my comedy partner. Of course, when I came back to Canada for Christmas, my dad says, "What are you working?" I said, "Yeah, I've got this comedy partner named Neil Mullarkey," and he said, "Well, presumably Bill Shenanigans was busy." His actual name is Mullarkey, right? And we did a sketch called Dr. Wicked that was sort of like a little quick show with everything happened underneath. It was like a puppet show, only we were people. And I had at one point wanted to do a one-man show of a generic Bond villain. So an evening with some Bond villain talking about how things like, you know, it's really hard to get sharks with laser beams, you know, and you know, just all of the truth of and the truth of the cliche of all of those things that you just a private army, you know, well, presumably you'd need a private cafeteria too, that for the army, you know, like just all of the questions that never get answered in those. And I was going to put that up at Edinburgh, and I ended up just doing a show with Mullarkey, and
then
so,
with Lorne, the Lorne of it.
The Lorne of it is just a little tiny overlay. I'm Canadian, he's Canadian. He has an educated Canadian accent, and I have a Scarborough accent. The thing of Lorne, I went to his house, you know, he's a Canadian hero. I think it's kind of hard to explain just what a Canadian... I did a project on him in grade 8 or 8th grade. And he goes, "Mike, do you want to come up to the Hamptons?" I was like, "Yeah." Or am I fired? I went, "Sure, okay." I went, and he was like, "Well, that's mixed room. Or do you want Keith's room?" you know. And I was like, "It's fine. Couch works, you know. The car works." So, anyways, he's there, and he has this big dinner with everybody. I'd never been to the Hamptons, you know, and it's all people who are captains of industry, but also people that own elemental things, like, you know, that's Bill Smith. He owns Basalt. And my joke was, there's Sesqui. He invented the question mark. And over there, you know, he owns Lake Ontario. Next to him is the man who invented the pregnant pause, or so I think. You know, and it's like all of these people that own, you know, he owns air, you know, and I'm from Scarborough, right? And so my first thing I said as a joke was, gee, Mr. Gatsby, it's so great of you to invite me. All these people are so crazy. I see those parties from across the lake and that big blue light. And it got a big laugh, and Lauren looked around like, my latest creation. All Bond villains tell you everything.
Yeah.
All Bond villains are cultural. They all have an affliction. The Dr. Evil Pinky was originally that he was unfrozen, but his hand was 10 minutes late. And so he's constantly warming up his hand, right? And then he goes, look at me, I'm a freak. And he's in no way a freak, you know. Look at this hand, right? And they're cultural. They're like, so one of the things we do with Lauren is like, Mike, do you own an Enigma machine? You know, the code breaking thing? I said, no. Mick has one. There's only 3 in the world. You know, that sort of thing. You know?
That makes sense.
I'll go get one.
So there are other characters that you play. I want to play a clip of one of those characters and talk about the day this was shot. So I play clip number 9, the fat bastard clip.
May I present to you my spy in the Ministry of Defense? Fat bastard.
First things first, where's your shitter? I've got a turtle head poking out.
Charming.
I'm not kidding. I got a crap on deck that could choke a donkey. Oh, it's squidgy. Oh, Christ, I'm getting all emotional from it, you know?
Right. Fat bastard, could I have my mojo, please?
Where's my money?
All right, give him his money.
Jesus Christ, he's tiny. I've had bigger chunks of corn in my crap. Wait a minute. He kinda looks like a baby. Come here, I'm gonna eat you. I'm bigger than you, I'm higher in the food chain. Get in my belly. Come on. You're lucky, wee man.
Can I have a hug?
Dr. Evil. Let me make you a deal, all right? You get the mojo, you keep your money, and I'll get your baby.
Right.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back ribs. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back ribs.
Excuse me.
Chili baby back ribs.
So in the script, I believe it's the corn joke, and I believe that is the end of the scene for Fat Bastard. Yes. So what was that day like?
Fun. Yeah, making comedies is fun, dude.
Do you remember what did you do the take normally, and then you just had this idea?
Fat Bastard, one of the first things I said as Fat Bastard was, I ate a bebe. Just because I like the word et, you know, and bebe. And, you know, we get as scripted, and then we do shizzies and gizzies, you know.
And that
shits and giggles.
Yeah.
One that is more improvised.
I want to play a clip of another Austin Powers character. Well, I want to play another clip that, but it's not from Austin Powers, but you'll see how it relates to Austin Powers.
Is it even one of my movies?
You'll see it's from the television show Real Sex. Play clip number 10.
Okay.
HBO's real
10, please.
This is our country estate of Fun for Two. It's far outside the city. It's between Amsterdam and Rotterdam. This is our farmhouse. It's an old farmhouse, almost 150 years old. And for almost 150 years, there were only cows inside. And now there are only couples.
So, walk me through seeing that, watching Real Sex on HBO, being like, that voice is staying in my brain until I can find a use for it.
I was obsessed with that episode. And I had a Dutch soccer coach, and I didn't realize they shush when they talk. So this sort of thing like this. And I just, again, I don't know. What did you think of that? I mean, I watched it and was like, there's a gold member.
So you had gold member maybe already? You knew you had gold member, but
I didn't have a take on it. No.
Yeah.
I knew it would be often the Bond villains have another Bond villain.
Yeah.
Right? So
in the Fat Bastard clip, you say donkey, which is you say donkey in another movie.
Where's this going?
Let's go into wherever Shrek is set. I can't remember. So before we talk about the voice you landed on for Shrek, can you talk about what the voice you did at first and why? And before you went with the voice that ended up being Shrek, what was the voice you went with, why, and what was the feeling like after you recorded those versions that you felt wasn't right?
So I did it in a very thick Canadian accent, thicker than I have, and I always saw fairy tales. So this is the craziest thing was I went to the premiere of Saving Private Ryan, and I was in the lobby, and Jeffrey Katzenberg comes up and brings his daughters, who then do the dance sequence from Austin Powers in the lobby after such a heavy movie. I was in tears because my parents were in World War II, and I was shell-shocked. And then they're like, and I was like, that's great. That's great. Read a room. And then he said, Mike, would you ever do an animated movie? I said, sure. He goes, well, we have an animated movie. It's called Shrek. And I said, well, that's the worst fucking title I've ever heard in my life, because it's the sound you make after drinking too many Molson Canadians. You know what I mean? And so he said, just come down and see it. So I saw it, and what I liked was that it had turned fairy tales on its head. And I thought that was really, really smart. It's a Eurocentric form, the fairy tale, dealing with class, right? And to have a African-American voice in Donkey in it, I thought was brilliant to say, yes, we know it's Eurocentric, but it can be reinvented and more inclusive. And I thought that was a really brilliant idea. I assumed that ogres were working people in that world. So as a working, not anymore, but I was working class some time ago. Growing up working class, I thought a Canadian accent, sure, it'd be great. So I tried it, and I just didn't connect to it. I just didn't do a very good job. So then I thought I would do something like Lothar of the Hill People, because that was the character I did in D&D. And Jeffrey was cool, and it was all, nothing's been animated, we're just thing. And I thought, I'm not connecting to that either. Now, as a sidebar, I looked at the maquette, the little, it's made of clay of all the people, and it looked exactly like Chris Farley. And I was like, and so I was at this meeting, this is my third meeting, and I said, guys, was this offered to Chris Farley and then he died? Everyone looked at their shoes. I said, no, but seriously, really? No. I went, okay. I get into the parking lot and I turn. I go, yeah, I think this was Farley's. It was, and I was right, but they didn't tell me, anyways. So then I said, listen, Farquaad's English, Eddie's hilarious in it, African American voice. I said, Scottish people are working class people, and it's in that Euro world. You know what I mean? Jeffrey said, no, I like what you're doing. And I said, I don't, Jeffrey. And he goes, no, it's fine. He goes, we'd have to spend so much money to reanimate. Not true. It was all wires. It was, it's that animatronics where it's like, donkey, what's going on there? Don't do that. You know what I mean? And so they'd spent some money, but not millions. And I was born at night, but not last night. And I was like, Jeffrey, I know you haven't spent that much money. You know what I mean? And I said, so I called Steven Spielberg, who's part of the thing. And I said, Steven, I want this to be good. I love this idea of you are beautiful to me. How do I put this without being seemingly, I've never traded on my looks. I don't consider myself, I'm a comedy actor, you know what I mean? I'm not like Rob Lowe. When you see Rob Lowe, you just start to laugh. And I'll say, Rob, holy fuck. And Rob goes, I know. Right? Because he knows, right? So I always thought, well, what if, I can play a guy that needs to learn to love himself and find himself beautiful. And I can really connect to that because you can't rip people off, man. You have to give, every time you're out there, you have to give 100%, So I said, if he's Scottish, I get that. I get the Scottish thing. It fits with Farquaad, who's English. It fits with the Euro thing. And the other thing too is ogres have tempers, and so do Scottish people, which is like, that's great. See you coming over here like that. Take your fucking shoes off, right? That flash anger I knew could be inherently comedic. It is what an ogre would be, you would think. I can get deep and fuck you, don't you? You know what I mean? In there. And so I said, let me just try it one more time. And he said, it's going to cost millions. I said, well, I'm not getting paid more to do this, let me just do it. I did it. I got a letter from Steven Spielberg saying, thank you so much for caring. And it's framed. It's in my house. He goes, you're absolutely right. You're 100% more connected to it. Jeffrey came to like it, which is fine. Are you here, Jeffrey? And here we are. And then I saw another thing with dragons, and the guy's Scottish. That's all I'm saying.
So have you...
How to Tame Your Dragon, is that what it's called?
Train,
Tame. Sure, it's Tame in Canada.
Have you started any of the work on Shrek 5? Have you talked to Eddie and Cameron about it?
You don't get to see them until later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you heard their voices? Or?
I love Donkey so much. I want Donkey to live in my house. You know what I mean? I love that character, and I kind of enjoy not seeing Eddie, although he's hilarious and he's lovely, very nice to me, a very generous human being. I love Donkey so much that I get excited before the thing to see him, you know what I mean, and to hear him. So then I see him at the press junkets and stuff, and it's fun. Yeah. He's he's a cool dude. He's cooler than I'll ever be.
In the last couple of days, you've done some dramatic roles or roles in dramatic. How do you approach those? Is it different than the character work you do in the comedies? How is it similar? What have you learned from those experiences in Inglourious Basterds or like Bohemian Rhapsody?
Well, it was an absolute joy to work with Quentin Tarantino. I love his work. He wanted it to be a genre study. So he, God, what's the name of the actor who played Alfred in Batman? No, in the original television. Oh shit! I should know his name. Alfred? Oh yeah. Adam West did a couple of roles. I'm trying to think of. Anyways, that guy. And Jay, you must know this. Oh, anyways, Tarantino sent me Alan Napier, Mother Freaker. Thank you so much. Googled. That's okay. If only there was a machine that could tell us. Alan Napier, in fact. And so I studied that. And then I met with the makeup people, and I had all these ideas. And I said, I would do a makeup test. And they came, and the makeup was already done. And I said, I had ideas. And they went, no, this is what he wants. And I was like, okay. Yes, sir. I serve at the pleasure of the president. And it was shot at Nazi headquarters, which was weird. that then became Soviet headquarters. And on my first day when I got there, it's the scene where the French painter is doing a thing of Hitler, painting Hitler. And he said, Mike, come in, you're going to love it, come in. He comes in, and there's a guy with like a may we hat, thing. And Hitler's wearing, like this. And I'm like, what the fuck am I in for? That's Hitler, and it was crazy. But anyways, that character, I was doing a genre. I was doing a genre. You're so shocked by that. A genre? What? You can't play a genre. Anyways.
In Bohemian Rhapsody, you play a music executive complaining about the song Bohemian Rhapsody and how it is too long and indulgent. Yeah. And it's obviously a full circle moment because it's the song, but also watching it, having researched you, it felt it aligned with the theme of a lot of your work, which is sort of the struggle between the sort of business side of creativity and the sort of creativity and the people creating it. Wayne's World is the business side trying to get people away from their initial vision. A lot of our conversation right now is about times you sort of stood up to the business side.
Yeah.
What is that? What's your relationship with that now? How do you think about that? As you look at your career, the relationship to the business side of show business.
I love show. I'm less enamored with business, obviously. I've received some of the greatest notes from studios. I've learned so much from Lorne Michaels. If I hadn't done Wayne's World, I would never have done being able to know how to do an Austin Powers. You know what I mean? He's very generous, Lorne, with telling you the black arts of it, the realpolitik of how things get made. The pragmatism. This Lauren is picking me up in this chopper. I'll be there in a second, Lauren. Ran a little long. I sit here at 61. I have 3 kids. I live in Vermont. I watch a lot of soccer and a lot of hockey. The Paul Bunyaning of my creative struggles is most amusing to me because mostly I just said, guys, I just don't see it that way. And there's very little friction. It's mostly just conviction. And it's a lot to ask an audience to sit in the dark, not talk about themselves. And you have to give them the best that you can do. I never thought I'd ever get this shot, and I didn't want to blow it. Yeah. And so I just had an instinct about Bohemian Rhapsody and an instinct about Shrek being Scottish. And it all just comes from, I can't do anything just for money. I've never done anything just for money. I don't want to. And I save my money because I'm Canadian and Scottish. So,
most recently you did a miniseries for Netflix called The Pentaveret about a good-natured global conspiracy in which you played, I believe, 7 characters. And what really struck me and was so refreshing watching it is, for whatever reason, there are fewer comedy showcases that are so character-based. They're just there's fewer comedies being made in movies at all, like in theaters at least. What is it about character-based comedy, not comedy based on 2 people in real life and they have a kid or what, but like, what is it about character that has been a drive for you? That's been.
I think how people talk and how they react and their perceptions is fascinating to me. The Henri Bergson in his essay Laughter talked about comedy is when man acts as machine, right? Which is when man acts as machine, they act as matter. If they act as matter, they're subject to the laws of entropy and they will die. And that his belief is that laughter is a nervous response to the realization of your own mortality, right? Should I try that again? It's we're laughing at death, and it's every culture has it. Every culture has it in the same way, which is this quick aspiration of ha 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 ha. Why? That's got to be weird because cultures that have never met each other do the same thing. and usually deals with inflexibility, either of the subject or of the person viewing the subject. You know what I'm saying? Or the object or the subject. Inflexibility is the staple of comedy. Jay has a great expression, which is you see a guy walking down the street, he's eating a banana. He finishes, he throws the peel behind him. There's another guy walking behind him, right? He doesn't see the banana peel. Cut to the angle of the relationship. He goes to step, he misses the banana peel, crosses the street and gets hit by a banana truck. This is, you are unadaptable to the possibility that it could get worse. Also one of Jay's theories which is to exceed the expectation. Like by a lot, exceed by a lot. In Austin Powers, one of my favorite jokes is the slow motion steamroller chase. Can only exist by the key shot, which is the wide shot, which shows you the spatial relationship between the guy and the very slow moving thing. And yet he's acting as if it's fast. No, right? That inflexibility on his part, we recognize him to be a machine. He's matter. He's going to die. We laugh. This is the thing. Character offers you so much of both your expectation of how they might react and the character surprising you. And I guess that's one of the things with Wayne's World having more knowledge than he should. Or Alice Cooper knowing, or Aerosmith going, until the Soviet era apparatchiks, and that to me can be best done both as characters and in movies. What I love is movies have invented their own figurative language, which is pull back to reveal. That's something that comedies invented so much. Calendars flying off the wall, clocks going around, all of those things were invented by comedy filmmakers.
Speaking of movies, do you think you would make an Austin Powers 4?
Yes.
Follow-up, what's the sort of where how close we are to a thing like that happening?
I can neither confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of a project, should it exist or not exist.
Jay's nodding. The SNL 50th is in a couple months.
Right.
Are you planning on something? Can you confirm or deny if you're thinking of working?
Has anybody worked at Saturday Night Live here? Do we think that they have anything planned yet?
Well, I don't think I know they don't. But do you think?
I would even question that it's that date, to be honest. Or that it's going to be on television. They'll probably do a semaphore version of it. No, they're very last minute. It's an under-rehearsed Broadway opening once a week. That's how they do it.
I was thinking about one of my favorite things you ever did was the Gong Show, and just the fact that you did it is one of the great things a comedian of your level has ever done. That you have had this career, and then you did the Gong Show as a character and didn't tell anyone that you were doing it. And I guess the question, as you've done so much, you've had successes. What excites you?
Well, that excited me. I loved the Gong Show. To me, that was punk rock. I was a punk rocker. To me, the Gong Show was punk rock. I never missed it. It was the internet before the internet. Do you know what I mean? And it was, as I said, my company's called No Money Fun Films. I love, and I was on a comedy circuit in England, which was, a guy who had a drum set that had like a rotisserie chicken in it, and it was the craziest thing. The one guy's name was Melt It, and he would melt a block of ice 50 different ways, and that was his act. And you'd go, oh, this is going to be sucky. But then the audience was like, 39! Right? Got some road salt. He would lick it, took a blowtorch to it. And there was just in England, there was such it was all amateur hour. And one of the things of growing up in a Liverpool house is, if I had a friend who wasn't funny, my dad would say, oh, he can't come around anymore. He's not funny. And if you came into a Liverpool house, you need to have a song, a story, or a joke. You know what I mean? And that, I never lost my love for that. And so when they said, do you want to do the Gong Show? They were like, you probably won't want to. I said, yes, I do. And there's a British comedian in mind that I want to do it as, but I want it to be that you think he's somebody in England. And I loved doing that show. That was like summer camp for me. I fucking love that show.
So it's hard to process one's success while you're doing it. You know, the movies come out and you're working on the next one. You don't really spend a lot of time to just think about what it has meant to people. Do you remember having a moment where you're able to stop and realize the impact of your work?
I think, well, just that you guys are here is amazing. It's just that I think what's so weird is that it didn't go away. You know, I still see memes and stuff, and I can tell you it wasn't built. We made stuff we wanted to see. That's all I ever do. You know, I wanted to see the Gong Show. I wanted to do it. You know, I wanted to see. I love secret societies. I'm obsessed with them. And Netflix was great. Yeah, do it. You know, and I was able to do it. The Prisoner was just the original one was style for days, and I loved it. I think I got the last letter that George Harrison ever wrote. It was a fan mail to me. And growing up in a house from Liverpool, the Beatles were the best of my gene pool, you know what I mean? Their fame is famous, you know what I mean? And their music is brought by the gods for us, you know what I mean? And it was the day he died, I received the letter, and it was, Dear Mike, I've been searching all over Europe for a mini U doll. I can't find one. Anyways, great laughs, keep it up, George Harrison. And I have to say, life's been hard since then because I kind of don't know what, in terms of brass ring, that was the greatest. And then about 5 years ago, I went to Buckingham Palace, and a friend of mine got us to go into the gate, but not into the house. Dirty comedians, right? Get you to the gate, but not the house. Right? I was thrilled. Anyways, you have to wear a suit. You have to go through a security clearance. And I'm sitting there, and then the band comes out. Guys with flags. They stop, and all of a sudden, right? They played for me. They knew I was coming. They played the Austin Powers theme. And then a guy comes by with a flag like this, and they're not supposed to talk. He goes, I bet you've heard that song before, Mr. Miles. Right? And I was like, I cried like a motherfucker. I couldn't believe it.
Mike Myers, thank you so much for doing it. Thank you for joining.